This absurd continuation of this prohibition is largely a function of ignorance. In 1967, because I was so concerned about this drug marijuana, I decided to do a review of the literature. I was then persuaded by Harvard University Press to do a book. The book came out in 1971, Marijuana Reconsidered. I learned that what was being said about this drug was mythological. You couldn't find the data to really support it. It turns out that marijuana came across as a remarkably non-toxic drug. Cannabis is a plant. Now, in the plant, there are somewhat more than 60 molecules called cannabinoids. THC is the most active. THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. People find smoking marijuana very useful for a whole host of symptoms. And if you inhale it, you get the effect within a very short period of time. So you can titrate it. By titrate it, I mean you can take just enough to get rid of your symptoms and stop.
The government hates to admit that they've already acknowledged that marijuana is a medicine. They acknowledged it in the 1970s and 80s when they allowed dozens of Americans to receive a monthly supply of marijuana from the government's marijuana farm at the University of Mississippi. Some of those people are still alive and still obtaining it today, their monthly canister of marijuana.
Now, here's where I keep my cannabis. Keep it refrigerated, it stays fresher. I receive 1 tin of 300 pre-rolled cigarettes, approximately 300 cigarettes, every 25 days from the federal government. And here's hermetically sealed with wax to try to keep the freshness and the strength up. This marijuana was actually grown right here in April of 1996. So it's been packaged and frozen since then. And then you open it up. Okay, inside you'll see that there's approximately 300 rolled cigarettes to this tin. It's sold by a cigarette machine. What this can means to me is for the next 25 days, I don't have to worry about medicine. That I know that I'll be as well as I possibly can be, and that I don't have to worry about if somebody's going to bust my door down and come arrest me because of this medicine. The disorders that I suffer from are multiple congenital cartilaginous exostosis and a variant of the syndrome pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. In lay terms, what it means is bone tumors that grow outwardly from the long bones, such as this, grow outwardly into the muscles and the veins, stretching the muscles and the veins, making it very painful. And more important, any kind of movement can tear the muscle or tear the vein, and I could hemorrhage, and a clot could break off, go to my heart, my brain, my lungs, I'm dead. I usually try to get in, if I can, 10 to 12 marijuana cigarettes per day. What the cannabis definitely does is relax the muscles going over these tumors. Thereby, I can move and not have to worry about tearing anything. So I'm ready to go to work and I try to make some money for myself and my clients. More important, for my clients. When people see me taking my medicine, they don't understand that it's medicine, and they think all I'm trying to do is get high, and that I've got some kind of balls to be able to do it in public. Of course, I try to explain to them right away that it's medical use provided by the federal government, and I'm sure most people just kind of laugh and go, "Yeah, right." I became the second person in the United States to receive medical cannabis from the federal government. Robert Randall is the first patient.
We welcome to Larry King Live, Bob Randall, the first American ever to gain legal access to marijuana because of his glaucoma condition. Why are you allowed to use these, Robert?
I have a disease called glaucoma, and marijuana at this point is the only drug that will help prolong my sight.
You could smoke it now legally, couldn't you?
Sure.
Do it fine.
Okay.
Yes. This is a first. I want you to know, Larry.
I spent 27 years with Bob Randall, and 25 of those years he was using 10 marijuana cigarettes a day, federally supplied. And I can assure you he was not a stoner. He had a terrific memory. He was extremely articulate. He was highly motivated when it came to, particularly to this issue.
I think the only thing surprising here is that a small group of unelected bureaucrats has so long resisted making marijuana medically available. Essentially, it comes down to almost a theologic argument. They want to pretend that marijuana is simply evil, and I think we have to be more rational than that. We have to realize that marijuana has good and bad uses.
Bob was treated on every conventional medication that was available, and it was only through the addition of marijuana that his eye pressure was lowered to within the safe range. Told at 25 that he would be blind by the time he was 30, marijuana made the critical difference, and Bob could see up until the time of his death in 2001. We were arrested in August of 1975 for growing 4 marijuana plants on our sun deck in Washington, D.C. And once Robert found out that the federal government was already conducting research on marijuana as a possible glaucoma treatment, that made him very angry. He could not reconcile in his mind that we were being called criminals for what the federal government was already well aware of. So we went to trial in July of 1976, and the lawyers pleaded that Robert needed medical access to marijuana based on his medical need. The trial was held before Judge James Washington in Washington, D.C., and he found Robert not guilty of marijuana possession by reason of medical necessity. It established within the legal framework the concept of medical necessity. And by 1991, we had 13 individuals who were receiving marijuana legally for the purposes of medical application.
George Bush Sr., who was running for re-election, didn't want to look like he was soft on drugs, and so he decided to close down the program so nobody else could get on it. He grandfathered the 13 of us in so we didn't sue the government. It's ironic when you've got something legal that everyone else could be arrested for. That's what's so bad about this fight, is that people that are sick, that need the medicine, aren't getting it. They're being made criminals. They're having their life in turmoil, especially if they're arrested. And it's just not right.
Marijuana it elicits too many emotions in people. And probably if it were called something else, it would be a much better world. I used to say that if a scientist went into an Amazon rainforest and came out with this new plant that had never been discovered before, that he called Cannabis, and gave it to other scientists and researched it, it would be hailed as a savior, because it has so many wondrous properties, and it would be nice if it didn't have all of the baggage that marijuana has. If it were just simply cannabis, that would be a better world, I think.
Good morning, Neighborhood Securities. Just a moment.
I'll be back. I'm a stockbroker. I'm a professional person. I handle a lot of money on a daily basis. I'm a good, productive member of society. I pay lots of taxes, and I'm able to do that because I use marijuana. Yeah, I'm calling about that option we talked about. Did the check come in from Whiting today?
What I like about this is the diversification.
Cannabis doesn't impair my ability to think, to act, to move, to do anything I need to do. If anything, I think it sharpens my decision making, especially at work, because now I'm not concentrating on my pain.
Hold on one quick second. Professor Rosenfeld?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and take care of it. All right, bye-bye.
I've got to be sharp. I've got to handle millions of dollars on a daily basis. And to do that, I need to smoke my cannabis.
Everyone, I want to propose a little toast and just thank all my family and for being here, and have a great meal. And thanks again. Take care.
I know how beneficial it is. I know how well I am doing. I know how bad I was without the marijuana. And so I'm just so fortunate to have the medicine that I can get up and go to work every day. I can provide a living for my family. I can do all that because I have this medicine. All this is a weed that was put on this earth, and it's beneficial. It has been through centuries. Let the states do what they can. The federal government's given them no choice. And that's what's got to be changed. It's got to be based on a federal level.